Hi friends! So I know this is kind of long overdue, but I decided to finally make a tutorial on how to play Nothing by Bruno Major on guitar. Just keep in mind this is my very first time trying to teach something and I'm not exactly the best at explaining. I'm also kind of sick, so I'm sorry if my voice is annoying in this. So the way that this tutorial is going to work is that I'm going to break the song down into 3 to 4 sections. And at the beginning of each section, I'm going to run through the chords and teach you how to play each of them. Then I'm going to go through the chord progression, and then I'm going to teach you the picking pattern that I use. And all throughout, I'm going to have chord diagrams right here, and then tabs down here if that's your thing, so you can follow along. Okay, so before we start, make sure that your guitar is tuned half a step down. That's how he does it in the live video. So basically what that means, if you don't know, you turn these tuning pegs to the left a little bit until your guitar sounds like this. So the first section of the song is the intro / verse because they use the same chords. So the first chord is a D major 7, I believe. And the way that you play this is you use your index finger to bar the 6th fret, and then you're going to use your middle, ring, and pinky finger to cover the 8th fret of the D string, G string, and B string. So when you play it all together, it sounds like this. To play the next chord, you're going to slide your index finger down to the 7th fret. You're going to leave your middle finger on the 8th fret of the D string, move your ring finger down to the 8th fret of the B string, and leave your pinky on the 10th fret of the G string. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, the next chord is a B minor, and to play this, you are going to use your index finger and bar the 8th fret again. And then put your ring and pinky finger on the 10th fret of the A string and the D string. So it'll sound like this. And then the following chord is an A minor, so you're just going to slide this position down so that your index finger is barring the 6th fret instead. So your index finger will bar the 6th fret, your ring finger will cover the 8th fret of the A string, and your pinky finger will cover the 8th fret of the D string. So it sounds like this. And the next chord is a G, and to play that, you're going to use your index finger to bar the 4th fret. Your ring and pinky fingers are going to cover the 6th fret of the A and D string, and then your middle finger is going to cover the 5th fret of the G string. So all together it'll sound like this. And then the next chord after the G is, I don't know what it's called, but you're basically going to keep your middle, ring, and pinky fingers here, and you're just going to slide your index finger down to the 3rd fret, so it'll sound like this. And then the next chord is an E, so you're going to slide this down to the 1st fret so that your index finger is barring the 1st fret, your ring and pinky fingers are covering the 3rd fret of the A and D, and your middle finger is covering the 2nd fret of the G string, so it'll sound like this. And the final chord is an A, and you're going to slide the same position so that your index finger is barring the 6th fret. So you're going to put your ring finger and your pinky finger on the 8th frets of the A and D strings, and then your middle finger will cover the 7th fret of the G string. So all together it sounds like this. So before we get into the picking, I'm going to run you through the chord progression that he uses for the first section of the song. So first it's going to start with D, and then it's going to go to whatever this chord is called, and then B minor, and then A minor, and then G, and then the next chord after that, and then E, and then A. So here's a breakdown of the picking pattern that I use. So he uses kind of two different picking patterns for this section of the song. So the first picking pattern only applies to the first two chords, which are D and the one following it. So to play these chords, what I do is I pluck the A and B string, then the D string, then the G string, and then I repeat that for the next chord. D, G. So really slowly it sounds like this. A and B, D, G, A and B, D, G. So at full speed it sounds like this. For the rest of the chords in this section, you're going to use this picking pattern. So it starts at B minor, and it sounds like this. So it's kind of the same pattern, except first you're plucking the E and G strings together, and then the A and then D strings. So really slow, it sounds like this. E and G, A, D, 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 E and G, A, D. And then for the final chord, which is an A, you're just going to strum. So to put it all together, remember that you use the first plucking pattern for the first two chords, and then the second plucking pattern for B minor and on. So that's it for the first section of the song. The second section is just the chorus or refrain where he says, "But there's nothing like doing nothing." Okay, so the first chord that he plays in that section is an E minor, and to play that, you're going to use your index finger to bar the first fret, and then your ring finger to cover the third fret of the A string, and your pinky finger to cover the third fret of the D string. So when you strum it, it'll sound like this. And then the next chord is a G minor, so you're going to keep this position and slide it up to the 4th fret so that your index finger bars the 4th fret and your ring and pinky finger cover the 6th fret of the A and D strings. So when you strum it, it'll sound like this. And the next chord that you play is a D, which we learned in the beginning. And then you're going to go back to an A, which you play by barring the 6th fret, putting your ring and pinky finger on the 8th fret of the A and D, and your middle finger on the 7th fret of the G. The picking pattern that I use for this section of the song doesn't change very much, but there is a little bit of variation. So what I do is I pluck the E and G strings first, and then A, then D, then G, then D, then A. So you pluck these two together, then A, D, G, D, A. So it'll sound like this. G minor, and then D. So after that section of the song, you're just going to repeat the chord progression from the first part of the video, which is for the verse. The third section of the song is the bridge where he goes, "So shut all the windows, lock all the doors." And the first chord for this section is a B minor that we learned in the beginning, where you bar the 8th fret and put your ring and pinky fingers on the 10th fret of the A and D strings, so it's this one. The next chord, I don't know what it's called, but you're basically going to take the same position of the B minor and just slide your index finger down to the 7th fret. So it'll sound like this. The next chord is some variation of A, I think. So to play it, you're going to use your index finger and bar the 6th fret, and then put your middle ring and pinky finger on the 8th fret of the A, D, and G strings. So together together, it'll sound like this. Then the final chord is, I think, an E7. So to play it, you're going to bar the 5th fret, put your ring finger on the 8th fret of the A string, your middle finger on the 7th fret of the D string, and your pinky finger on the 8th fret of the G string. So it'll sound like this. So this is a picking pattern that I use for this portion of the song. So I start by plucking E and G together, then A, then D, then G, then D, then A. So really slow, it'll sound like this. And that applies for all of the chords, so I'll play the whole section really slowly. Then you repeat it. And then the final section of the song is where he does all those like vocalizations where he's like, okay. And the first chord that he plays is an F7, I believe. And to do that, you're going to bar the 9th fret with your index finger, put your ring finger on the 11th fret of the D string, and then your pinky finger on the 11th fret of the B string. So it'll sound like this. And the next chord is a C7. So to play that, you keep barring the 9th fret, but instead you're going to put your ring finger on the 10th fret of the G string. So it'll sound like this. You don't play the bottom string. The next chord is, I think, an E7. So to play that, you're going to bar the 8th fret with your index finger, put your ring finger on the 10th fret of the D string, and your pinky finger on the 10th fret of the B string. So it sounds like this. Then the next chord is an A7, so you're just going to keep barring the 8th fret, and you're going to put your middle or ring finger on the 9th fret of the G string. So it sounds like this. The next chord you're going to play is an E minor, which we learned in the beginning. And then the last chord is a G minor. So this is the picking pattern that I use for this section. So I pluck the E and B strings first, then D, then G, then switch to the next chord, and repeat. E and B, D, G, and then when I get to E minor, I pluck the E and G strings first, then A, then D, then G, then D, then A, and the same thing for G minor. E and G, A, D, G, D, A. So really slow, I'll play the whole section. And that's pretty much the whole song. After that little vocal section, you're just going to repeat the verse chord progression again with D and continue to the end. So now I'm going to play through the full song, full speed, and leave the tabs down here so that you guys can follow along and make sure that you got everything down. So here we go. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. Sorry if there was any confusion in my explanations. Just feel free to leave any questions, comments, complaints down there, and I will get to you as soon as possible. If you wanted the full tab that was on this video, I created one and I put it down in the description. Anybody can use it, and hopefully it'll help you out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the support on that cover, and I really didn't expect it. I will see you eventually when this throat heals, and yeah, thank you guys. See you later.